Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all feeling a bit better than yesterday after that 3-0 loss against Nürnberg. Our first friendly is over and it's already a total delirium online. Thiago Motta out, Giuntoli disaster, X, Y, Z. Total disaster. We'll speak about the game in today's video. First of all, thank you for joining GJustjuve channel. We are 32,000 now and this is just epic and fantastic. So continue to subscribe to the channel, continue to support the channel with a maximum of like, but also with your opinions. I'm really curious to understand what you took really well from yesterday, what you didn't appreciate from yesterday. So respectfully, a lot of comments in today's video because now we start. I will tell you, I was extremely happy to see our boys after 62 days back on the field. That was, for me, the most important thing. Feeling again happy to see our boys. This is a feeling that is impossible to equalize. Seeing our boys back on the field is, wow, fantastic. Unfortunately, we lost 3-0. I tell you immediately, 3-0 defeat is still a 3-0 defeat. It's not something that is funny. It's not something that it's nice. It's not something that is making us happy. Absolutely not. Then, of course, there is the reality. And that's important because yesterday I believe that it was a reality check for a lot of people, for a lot of Juventini. It's showing us that things, they just don't happen like that magically because we change a coach. Work, work, work. Work, work, work. I will never repeat it enough. This is important, that everything is working really well. From the management to the technical staff to the players. Work, 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 and time. But now we see a total delirium online for a first Juventus friendly. There are three reasons for the people that are going with a total delirium. The first part of these people are the people that are totally out of reality. They were expecting a total show, entertainment. They were expecting, like the youngsters are saying now, Thiago Motta ball. Well, you're far from reality because this is not what I was expecting and this is also not what we saw yesterday after the first friendly. Second part of the people that were in total delirium are probably the ones that are new to football or that never watched a pre-season and their expectations were extremely super high. And then the third part is probably the worst parts are the people that were just waiting for Juventus to lose. When? They didn't know, but they were just waiting for it. Why? Because they wanted to be pissed off with Thiago Motta, with Giuntoli, with Juventus in general. And this is not okay. If we start like that after a first friendly, guys, the season will be extremely long. I said it on Telegram before the game was played. Pay attention. It's not a war against the Allegri lovers and the anti-Allegri, Allegri out, Allegri in. It's not a war against Giuntoli in, Giuntoli out. It's not comparing Juventus now, Juventus from the past. This is absolutely not okay. We will see beautiful things, we will see bad things. The important is that we are thinking forward and especially that we understand the context because that's extremely important. What are we speaking about when we are speaking about context? Well, first of all, it was the end of a super intense training week. Just to give you a detail, yesterday it was not only the game that was considered a training session, but also in the morning they were training as well. And we saw all the intensity that they have put to have minutes in the leg, to start to regulate that breath, to be able to play long minutes. And it's normal, and you saw it especially at the face of the national team players from Italy, Cambiato, etc., etc. At a certain moment they were totally out of breath, which was totally normal even if they played only 45 minutes each. First half, what did we see in the lineups? Only three potential starters. Only three potential starters. Di Gregorio, Kefren Thuram, and maybe, if we want, Locatelli. In second half, a bit more players that were used to Juve because we go with a Perin, a Gatti, a Cambiaso, Hans Nicolosi Caviglia, Fagioli, Weah, Dusan Vlahovic, players that are used, especially because they were already part of the first team last season, even if some players played a lot, some players didn't play a lot, like a Hans Nicolosi or a Fagioli. Even Weah was not a starter. Will Gatti be a starter? Big question mark. And that's also why we see a Cambiaso that played as a starter last season, but also knew really well Thiago Motta, that was doing, according to me, especially in the first 20-25 minutes of that second half, much better. We are missing a lot of players. Don't forget about that. We are just now expecting some players to join that are already from the team, like the two Brazilian ones, Bremer, Danilo, the new Brazilian one, that is Douglas Luiz, but also Kenan Yildiz, players that will join. There are some players in La Continasta that didn't travel with the team, like Chiesa, La Rugani, De Sciglio, that we all know are on the market, but at the moment are still part of Juve, so as long as we have them, we'll be able to count on them. And then you have a mercato that is absolutely open, even if the time is starting to be smaller and smaller and smaller as we start on the 19th of August. What did we see that was really bad yesterday? Well, management of the result in the last few minutes. This is something that was, according to me, unacceptable, because yes, it is a friendly, yes, you are tired, but you cannot manage, if you are Juventus, the last minute as we did them, 87th minute, 89th minute, without reactivity, not able to answer, not able to save a result, because if you lose 1-0, it's one thing. If you lose 3-0 against the second division Bundesliga team, it's another thing. What we were missing, but I consider it totally normal, is missing reactivity. And you saw it, and that first step we were really mechanical. That's where you see that our players are really suffering. If you pay attention to all the clips, all the videos that Juventus put online, pay attention to a lot of players that when they were walking around in that Herzogenaurach Nürnberg Park of Adidas, they were not walking really smoothly when they took the bike before starting that bike, because it's totally normal, because they work extremely hard. And that's what you have to put into context. And then a friendly means totally nothing. I remember a season where we lost that first training session friendly against Lucento, the first Allegri Juventus, and at the end you win Serie A, you win Coppa Italia, you even reach the final of the Champions League. I remember, for example, last year where you were fantastic playing against the Real Madrid, winning against the Real Madrid, and at the end you are not able to score a goal against Empoli. Just to put things into context. Now, I spoke about the bad things. What are we missing? Words of Thiago Motta post-game interview. We need to control the game better, especially in the first half. He didn't appreciate it. Secondly, having the ball and playing more in opposition half. Even if we are looking at the average position of first half, second half is already something that we are starting to see. The average block that is much higher than the one of previous season. But even there, Thiago Motta is not yet satisfied. He wants more. And he also wants to increase that ball possession to organize ourselves. So when we have that ball possession, it's not just to circulate the ball, but it's to have the opportunity to organize ourselves. Why? Because having that ball possession, circulating that ball, organizing ourselves, it makes actually the other ones, the opponents, running more. They are more tired, and that's the moment where you will attack the spaces. Words of Thiago Motta. What are the consequences of what we saw yesterday, of the loss of yesterday? Well, it's actually, and these are the words of Mattia Perin, it's a good, and also Thiago Motta, it's a loss that is actually good if analyzed in a good way, with intelligence. Because now, with that first one, Thiago Motta will be able, with his staff, with Hugo, that is also responsible for that tactical part of training session, to show what are the right movements that we were doing, what are the wrong movements that we were doing, even the right movements that we were doing, but we lost the ball, or we were not able to be accurate enough. Well, these are the things that we need to insist in. However, and that's important, we need to improve. And I really appreciated when Thiago Motta said we need to improve, and fast. And really fast, because he's also aware that Serie A is not waiting. The game against Como is absolutely not waiting. What are the good things that we saw yesterday? Because I personally saw good things as well. The intention to play the ball forward every single time, even if you were risking it, even if you were losing it, even if you were absolutely not accurate enough at the moment because the ideas were not lucid enough, the intention to play the ball forward. In some moments, we saw some flashes of new ideas, like I explained yesterday during the post-game live, Cabal, Cambiaso, Bangula. With Cabal going more on the left, Cambiaso entering more centrally, and Bangula staying super wide on the field there to receive that ball immediately, to try something. That's a movement I believe that we will see a lot, especially with Kenan Yildiz, that we are expecting a lot. No fixed position for a lot of players. Did you see yesterday, even if it's true, we'll go towards individuality in a second, but Thiago Thiago Jallo, sorry. Thiago Jallo was absolutely not the best one yesterday, far from. Well, we saw a bit of movements at a certain moment in the first half. I don't know if you noticed, but we see a Jallo that is really running and pressing the goalkeeper to tell you that there are no fixed position. Or a Facundo Gonzalez that a lot of time in that first half was really acting as a added midfielder, or even at a certain moment a Wea, when I'm telling you no fixed position, that transformed himself into a goalkeeper. But that's another story. Speaking about that, there are two players that according to me, I don't know how you will rate them, I don't know if you appreciate them or not, but according to me, they understood immediately what the new tasks from the coach are. Two players, Facundo Gonzalez and Fabio Miretti. I don't know if they were the best one on the field, but these are the two that really clearly, tactically understood immediately what are the new requests of Thiago Motta, and that's what I'm telling you. I would be a bit sad if at the end Miretti would leave Juventus, because I'm expecting, if he stays at Juve, a really intelligent, really good season of Miretti. Of course, he needs to become more clinical, because that's what we are waiting from him. Conclusion before continuing with the other things. We are in the middle of a big change, seriously, because we are leaving our comfort zone. Our comfort zone was a lot of time play the ball in the back, wait, let the opponents come towards you, something that we are totally changing. A lot of things that we are going out of comfort zone. One of the emblems, the icons of yesterday that is still in the past is probably a Locatelli that I was asking other things from, and we saw him a lot of time again being the Locatelli from the past season, which is absolutely not enough. Time is needed, a period of adaptation to a new football idea, and that's important. A lot of players are, and I continue with my conclusion, a lot of players are still missing. The available players were tired, but we need to continue to believe in what we are doing. If we don't believe in what we are doing, probably we will be lost. And I just give you an example of last season. We were speaking about intensity. We were speaking about high average block. We were speaking about a lot of beautiful things with Magnanelli, etc. You remember the preseason of last season that we even saw against Udinese, the second game, the third game. And at a certain moment after that loss against Sassuolo, we just put aside all the beautiful principle ideas that we had. This is a mistake that Juventus can't do this season. If things are going wrong in the beginning, in these next friendly games, Brest, etc., or Atletico Madrid, we need to push. We need to continue to believe in Thiago Motta that we have chosen for that new football idea. And we will need a bit of time, but also us supporters will need a bit of time, according to me. I already told you about Locatelli, that yesterday, according to me, was not great. A lot of time he went back, and I think that he dropped too much back, which is not always needed. Let's see. Thuram was good in the first half. Why? And I knew it, that he would be one of the MVPs of yesterday, even if MVP when you lose 3-0 is difficult, because we know it, athletically, or in terms of athleticism, is much ahead of all the other players that are surrounding him, because he's training since a lot more time than the other ones. But yesterday we saw some flashes of Thuram, recuperating balls, being always present there in the middle of the field, carrying that ball up. But again, it's a player that needs to pay attention to fouls, dangerous fouls, tactical fouls, and a player also that needs to improve if he has the opportunity to go on target with a shot. Second half, we saw a lot of... First half, I didn't appreciate Thiago Jallo in that first game. I didn't appreciate Locatelli, as I told you, and also Koopmeiners was not good. Second half, I didn't appreciate Gatti, but also not Dusan Vlahovic. Yesterday, he has that penalty, and he needs to score that penalty. I was extremely happy for him to take that captain band, Locatelli first half, second half Vlahovic. For the very first time, Dusan Vlahovic, he was honored about it. He was really happy, made a post on it on Instagram, but he needs to step up. And yesterday he said that Thiago Motta, and he repeated what he said a few weeks ago when he was presented, Dusan Vlahovic or the striker that we have, they will need the team. Without the team, it's extremely difficult. But also him, I think he can do much better. And that penalty, you need to score. You need to score it, especially if you are looking at the stats of when he was playing at Fiorentina, official games, not friendly. And the one of yesterday is not even counting these stats, but 92% of penalties scored with Fiorentina. Since he's at Juve, only 62% of penalties scored, not including the one of yesterday. 5 scored, 3 missed in official games. Are we now in a time where we need to maybe step away from Dusan Vlahovic taking penalties? Let me know in the comment. Or should we insist on the number 9 taking these penalties? This weekend, we rest, all of us, except of here on the channel, because we will continue to do videos. But the management, technical staff, players will all rest. They are already in Torino since yesterday. So yesterday after the game, they immediately traveled. And then we continue to start speaking about transfer market. Yesterday, there were no contacts for Todibo, but he will be the first one to be contacted, him and also especially Nis, to have him in the beginning of next week. But if there is something that I learned yesterday, was especially the fact that we need or Koopmeiners, and hopefully Koopmeiners, or someone that is the twin of Koopmeiners, because in that 4-2-3-1, a Koopmeiners there as a number 10 is really, really needed. And that's why Juventus is insisting since so many weeks, since so many months, that he is the triple A objective of Mercato Session 24-25, that they're willing to do sacrifices a la Huijsen, that yesterday said goodbye, and he's already traveling to Bournemouth. Yesterday, Solé didn't play because he's a promised AS Roma player, because they want to reach a player a la Koopmeiners that will be extremely needed. 45 million, maybe more. This is what Juventus they will offer to Atalanta. Atalanta, they had promised to Koopmeiners to let him go if a big team would make a beautiful offer. Let's see if that offer will be enough for Juve, yes or no. We will discover it. Todibo, I already told you, there are the details that they will work on, and then he will become a Juve player, because also there, the players that we saw yesterday are still shaking and probably not ready. Even if a Savona and even if a Cabal, they show beautiful things. And then we think about the offensive wingers. And like we see on Record and Abola, the Portuguese papers, Record is speaking about Galeno. Galeno, that is the favorite player for Juventus, while Abola, still in Portugal, is saying Juventus is thinking for offering 30 million for Galeno. So Galeno could be potentially a player that we will see at Juventus. We have 3 players at the moment in target: Todibo, Koopmeiners, Galeno, and then maybe an extra offensive winger that could potentially come on loan, maybe a big name a la Adeyemi, or even Sancho that Juventus didn't give up on. That was it for the video. Again, these long format post-game, unfortunately we start with a loss, but I prefer to lose against Nürnberg and to win against Como than the other way around. Let me know all your thoughts with a maximum of like. Continue to subscribe. Grazie, forza, Juve.